Hello again, it's Lock Noob, and well, do you know what? This might be the first time I've ever had a chance to pick with or review any Southern Specialties lock picks. I don't know why I haven't. I guess it's a bit like HPC. I just aren't exposed to them as often as a company, so I just haven't bought from them before. But this set was lent to me by my good friend Pickbeard from the UK Locksport forum. It's been mildly used, but otherwise in excellent condition. So yeah, just bear that in mind throughout the video. Okay, so first things first, the thing that stands out the most, the ripple handles. This is the LHR, the laminated ripple set, the LHR-16 laminated ripple set, and you can really see the ripples. Let's get this broken key extractor harpoon here, and you see that rippling. It looks from the under the lights, I'd say, more pronounced than it actually is when you hold it. You can certainly feel the waviness in that handle, but I'd say that it just adds some, well, I personally think some appealing aesthetics to it. I quite like the look. I'm not sure it sort of does much in terms of grip or comfort, but for a sandwich steel handles, these laminated handles, I think they just look a bit different, and looking a little bit different, well, that goes a long way with me. So these are actually made from a tempered stainless steel in 20 thousandths of an inch, somewhere around 0.6 millimeters ish, or thereabouts, hard to really say. And they are made in the USA, and they do still have, according to their website, a lifetime guarantee. So yeah, not too bad. So this is a 16-piece set, not including the, well, it comes with the case, but there's 16 tools here and the case. Let's start with the case just very quickly. I mean, it's not too bad, is it? It's sort of what you'd expect. It's real leather, which is nice. It folds out. It's got enough space for all the picks. Is it the best case I've ever seen? No. Is it the worst? Not by a long way. It's a perfectly nice case, and yeah, I mean, that's all I can really say about that. So that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. Put it over here. The pick selection then. Now, this is the odd thing. I know that Southern Specialties have been around for a while, but these sort of lock pick designs are very similar to a lot of the older lock pick designs on the market, especially the ones designed for North American style locks with the more open keyways. What do I mean? Well, let's just grab a bunch of said locks and I'll show you. Here we go. Keyways which are not paracentric and a bit more wide open. So if I took, for example, I know this half diamond, you'll see that the shank height, especially compared to lock picks from Europe, is maybe even twice that I'd expect in a shank height. That being said, the fact that these are 20 thousandths of an inch does go a long way. They're nice and slim, and the extra thickness, especially if you're a new picker, adds an awful lot of durability to the picks. They will stand up to a lot more stress when picking, but they're certainly considerably thicker than a lot of the more sort of, let's call them modern European style lock picks for those more paracentric keyways. In terms of selection then, we have a couple of half diamonds. We have two hooks, worth showing you this, a sort of nice flat topped hook there. It's not a super shallow hook, but it's all right. It's erring on the medium side of things. And then a gigantic gonzo or postal hook. I mean, just look at that. I mean, just take an average style lock, just very average, very plain keyway. I mean, you can see that even something like that, you'd struggle to actually get it in and under the pins. It's so deep. I mean, don't get me wrong, I actually really appreciate a very, very deep hook in some sets, but in a set with only two hooks, the fact that you only have a very, very, very deep hook and a short to medium hook, that's an odd choice. Then you've got the ball rakes, which are very useful for raking your wafer locks, your things like this one. And then we have a snake rake, always like those, some form of kinetic rake, a city rake, again a classic, and then this, which I must admit I don't quite get. It looks like it's clearly a ramp of some kind, but I found it extremely difficult to get this into keyways which aren't massively wide open like this. That angle in particular at the front is very, very steep. Compare that to the angle of this. Just ruined my, look at that, ruined my display. Compare the angle of the half diamond, and you can see that that's clearly going to push the pins out of the way more easily than this. I think maybe this would be useful for getting into those wide open keyways and sort of rocking. But I'm not so sure. I don't even know if I'm going to try this one out in the review. If I can find a lock which it can pick, then I might. It's just a bit of an odd choice again. In terms of tension tools, you get 4, and these are perfectly nice. You get 2 twisted ones like that, and then you get sort of some straight ones, which is my preference. They're both the same thickness, but you know, you get a Z1 and an L1. They're perfectly nice. It's strange that the thicknesses of these appear to be the same in both dimensions. So it's really sort of doubling up apart from the length. So maybe, you know, again, choices are always good, right? It's always nice to have the choice, but having those difference in thicknesses would certainly have gone maybe a longer way to provide you more choice of tension tools instead of just having 4 for the sake of it. Right. Before I carry on, the only other thing I want to say in general is the finish on these. Actually not too bad. They're surprisingly nicely rounded. They're not the most smooth in the world ever, but they're certainly not the worst. They're actually pretty good. They're, you know, I probably could on some of the lockpicks just put a bit of 1000 grit sandpaper around the edges. Maybe they're a little bit less finished than some other lockpicks, but they're not also all that bad either. The one thing I would say is, however, this harpoon is just not very sharp. These are supposed to be designed to dig into, well, let's show you. I've got a lock with a broken key, and this is supposed to be able to go in and the sort of grab, literally dig in, harpoon. I'll get that in camera. It's supposed to go in and grab and sort of dig in and harpoon on this metal so that you can sort of get in there, maybe reach up. And you can sort of see that the length of the harpoon is such that if I was to do anything, it would push the remainder of the broken key in, and the actual harpoon itself is not sharp enough to dig in on any part of that. So I would say it's a nice idea to have a broken key extractor in a lockpick set, especially one designed for locksmiths, but this one just seems to be a bit too long, a bit too wide, and a little, it's just not quite sharp enough to do the job. Right, so let's do a few demos. Let's use a few of these picks, and then we'll go into some conclusions at the end. I have this lovely Ace padlock I'd like to pick on video for you, just as part of this review, to give the short hook a workout. And I'm going to break my own general rules. Now, normally I would only ever use the tension tools in the kit, but they are all the same thickness, and there aren't any really good top of the keyway options. So I thought that in this instance I would allow myself to use a piece of bent wiper blade because it's free, they're easy to come by, and you know, any lockpicker who's going to buy and sell a lockpick set is probably best off getting some bent wiper blade to make their own custom tools anyway. Please shout at me in the comments if you think I'm cheating, but I think I'm allowed to, just because really a piece of free bent metal will just get me into loads more locks using these lockpicks. They just will. So I'm just going to go through and pick this. So this is a flat topped hook. It's a bit like a medium hook, I guess, more than a short hook. But one thing I would say, I'm not a massive fan of flat top lock picks is it does actually feel particularly good in this lock with its nice open keyway. Genuinely, I get really good positive pin placement. I don't feel that I'm coming off of the pins, and in this regard, it's surprisingly nice actually. The kit generously comes with 3 bull rakes, so I guess I'll have to demo at least one of them. So I've chosen this double bull rake, or the Snowman. Kind of cute, huh? And yeah, we're just going to pop some bottom keyway tension in this wafer lock and gently under light tension scrub these wafers, and hopefully we might be able to get ourselves an open quite quickly. And yep, we got it. We have a kinetic rake, which does work on quite low security padlocks like this one. So let's try this. There we go. And I think finally we'll end on this city rake, just because it's actually got a very nice city rake profile, very even ups and downs on this one. Some of them just look a bit odd. This one's quite a good one. So a bit of light tension, pop this in. It's got spool pins in, but there we go. Oh, it can work pretty quickly. Okay, so that is the Southern Specialties LHR-16 Laminated Ripple Handle 16-piece set. I don't know how to really call it. And as you can see, definitely with some locks with open keyways, a range of locks from North America, they're really quite effective. In my reviews, I like to do the pros, cons, things I'd like to see sort of different. So pros, in general, the feedback on these was really good, especially this this hook. I found the feedback to be good, the picks to be comfortable, they're well finished. I think, you know, a little bit of polishing on the tips would be nice, but it's not like super essential. And the feedback's very good. I actually was a bit surprised by that. They actually were quite good. They feel durable, they feel strong. You get some really good feedback on what the pins are doing. Yeah, in that regard, pretty good actually. I quite like the aesthetics of these as a pro. I mean, I guess it's you might disagree, and that's fine. That might be a con to you, but I quite like these ripple handles. They are just a little bit different. In general, I'm thinking from a locksmith point of view, the profiles in general aren't too bad either. You know, I quite like some of the hooks. The half diamonds are alright. The ball rakes work brilliantly. The city rake's got a really nice profile actually for a city rake. It's got some really nice even ups and downs. It's got you know, it's good. It's hard to describe, but it's a good city rake profile. And the snake rake is sort of average. Kinetic rake works as you'd expect. So there's a lot of quite good things about this. You know, good feedback, a nice finish. In general, the tool profiles are good. They're durable. I like the handles. A lot of stuff there, which is really good. The actual turning tools as well, in terms of how they feel, the construction and everything, perfectly good, very nice. And the case is, yeah, adequate. It's sort of what you'd expect from a kit like this. There's nothing wrong with it. It is leather and very nice. In terms of cons, there aren't that many cons, truthfully. I would say that the general thickness, the shank height, this height of the picks, is just too much for, in general, your tight European paracentric keyways. They just are. Is that a negative? Not necessarily. If you're a new picker, or you pick predominantly locks with wide open keyways like this, then these do give very good feedback. They're tough and durable, but they do limit you somewhat to the types of locks you're able to pick. But as a beginner, they are going to be pretty forgiving to you know, over tensioning and then over using force and picking warding and things. So, but in general, I'd say a negative about this is the shank heights. They are just a little bit too high. Another negative is, whilst you do get technically 5 tension ends and in 4 tension tools, the fact that they are all the same thickness in terms of the width, again, just limits you. Even having like just the Z wrench, 2 different widths, one tapered on one end, anything would just make these a little bit easier. And of course, there are no top of the keyway tools. That isn't unusual for a classic style set like this, but you know, even if you just get yourself a bit of bent wiper blade like I was using earlier on, it makes all the difference just have a top of the keyway tool. The only other negatives I can think of are just some of the profiles just, for me, don't work. And most kits always have something in there that, you know, just doesn't quite work out. The harpoon, it isn't sharp enough. It could be modified quite easily, actually, if you knew what you were doing, just to file it sharp and to make the tip a little shorter. But as it stands, it just doesn't dig in to grab the metal of the broken key. I suppose that it's not really negative. There's nothing wrong with this postal hook, this gonzo hook. It's just very deep. It's this one that I have the most problems with. I couldn't honestly find anything that this works in to give me an advantage. I found some master locks I could pick with this, but I didn't feel that it was helping me pick them more than any other profile that would have done the job better. Now, I am willing to admit that maybe I just don't know what I'm doing with this tool. Maybe it's supposed to be used in a way that I'm not accustomed to, but it wasn't very good at zipping or rocking or raking in my experience. I don't really understand this tool, but if you do and you have used this tool, you know what it is effective in, please let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely interested, and I'm sure other people would be too. So there's a couple of profiles here, especially the two at the ends, which I just didn't really get on with. In terms of what I'd like to see different, I suppose I will come back to, it'd be nice to thin down these shanks. The 20 thousandths of an inch in terms of the overall width, great, but the shank heights just need to be a bit slimmer. And the other thing, which I think we can probably all agree on, is if we just got rid of this and then put in maybe a medium hook or a short hook, or even just got rid of the harpoon as well and put in 2 more hooks of different heights, that'd be a whole lot more useful than having to resort to a small half diamond for your very short hook, and then still not having a medium hook to span the distance between this profile and this profile. There really is quite a gulf between the heights of these. If I line them up, try to line them up, you can see there, you know, it's just something in between those. Maybe like a grade, you know, there may be 2 in between the height to give you, you know, a couple of different pick heights would just be super useful. But overall, I think if you were a locksmith or beginner picker who's used to picking these more wide open keyways, you know, you do have a lifetime guarantee on this. They are made in the US, which is important to some people. Like I said, they're durable, have really good feedback. I think if you're looking for a durable kit with a lifetime guarantee and you like a classic style profiles, definitely not bad at all. However, I would caution you, if you were an experienced picker, especially one who's picking higher security locks, one with tighter, more paracentric keyways, this just isn't it. That isn't what this kit is really aimed around, and there are other options out there for you. In terms of price, then we're looking at $53 US, including the case, and that comes in around 44 pounds and 45 pence. But that will all depend on when you watch this and the exchange rate of the day and all those kind of things. So do check out the website. I will leave a link below to the official Southern Specialties website, so you can explore all the other stuff that they do there. So yeah, thank you to Pickbeard for lending me this kit. I actually had a lot of fun exploring this one, more fun than I expected, and certainly this kit, despite it having you know, this classic set of profiles, in many ways, you know, yeah, brought me over to its side a little more than I expected. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, really helps me out. If you have a comment on this set, especially this odd pick profile here, please leave one below. I do read them all. I reply to as many as I can. And of course, I'll see you all next time.